have 20 minutes scheduled for today's webinar. I'll be surprised if we go the full 20 minutes unless we have a lot of questions, so we might be able to wrap up a little bit early. Kellyanne is helping me out today. She's listening in to answer questions, so if you have any questions, just expand the question section on your GoToWebinar toolbar. Feel free to type those questions in. Everybody will stay muted, but if you do have questions, type them and Kellyanne will get you a response, or if you want, you can wait till the end. And I like to read the questions out loud and then get you answers too, because it might be a similar question someone else had. Okay, so posted batches today. My outline is coming from one of our donations workbooks, specifically pages 26 through 37. So I do want to jump out to our website real quick since we have a little bit of time, and I want to show you where you can get the workbooks if that's something that you want. So at churchwindows.com, under beginning, go right down here to training workbooks. And you can see you have a section on membership here, and then here is the section on donations. So today, like I said, we're going over posted batches, which is from the D102 workbook, specifically pages 26 through 37. You can download this workbook, or you can order a pre-printed copy that we will mail to you. The prices are listed up here at the top. So it's $12 if you want to download it, print it yourself, and then it's $22 if you want us to print it and mail it to you. But the workbooks are great. You can also bundle them, and that saves you some money if that's something you wish to do. But with that being said, I'm also recording the webinar, so you can always go out to churchwindows.com, search the title of posted batches, and you'll be able to watch this webinar whenever you want as well. All right, so let's jump into donations. Right up at the top here is your posted batches icon. This is where we're going to stay through the remainder of the webinar discussing this specific screen. I'm going to go ahead and click posted batches, and as you can see, it's going to open and it's going to show you each day that you've posted a batch, okay, or the date that you've posted the batch. This is just sample data that we're using, so we only have batches in here through January, but if you're up to date with your donations, you'll have batches entered through today's date, so your list will look a lot longer. One of the great things about this screen is when you enter donations, so you post your Sunday gifts, you can come into this screen and you can really see a lot of information about that batch itself, or about the batches that you've posted. One of the great new features that they've added into posted batches is this nice date range box, and then these year plus or minus buttons as well. So if you just want to see the donations for a particular month, if you want to see them for a particular quarter, you can adjust the date range boxes accordingly, and then hit the Apply Dates button for that change to take effect. Also, you have the minus plus buttons, which are really great. It's going to leave the month day as they are, and then it's just going to take your year back or forward, depending on what you're looking for. So these are some new buttons they've put in on a couple different screens. They're really handy because you don't have to click in here, change the year, click in here, change the year. You just hit the minus or the plus. Okay, so let's talk about viewing your posted batches. So let's go down here to our batch from January 22nd. The screen, just by looking at it, is going to give you an overview of the total. It's going to give you an overview of how much was entered with a payment method of cash, and then how much was entered with a payment method of check. Okay, those are the only two that are going to be listed here on this screen. If you have EFTs, if you have, what are some other options? I think there's a debit option. Whatever payment method you choose, though, it'll all be included in here, but it is going to give you a nice cash check breakdown if you need it. It's also going to give you a number of entries as well, which is listed right here. Another great thing about this screen is you have a little plus sign here you can click, and it will actually expand the batch, and it'll give you let me make this screen a little bigger. It'll actually give you the breakdown of each person that made a donation, or the entries that total up to your amount of donations here. Now, keep in mind, if you need to make a change to a specific transaction, you're not going to do that change here. This screen is where you can correct or reverse a batch after posting. So this is to the batch as a whole. So if you need to make a change to Jeffrey Alexander's donation, you will not do that here on posted batches, but you will do that in browse. Okay. Now let's go up here to our first batch we have here from January 1st. This is probably going to be a more realistic view of what, say, your Sunday donations would look like. You're going to have a lot of transactions listed here of what everyone's gift is. You can easily scroll through and check on things, double check things, and view it right here on this screen. But another great thing is down at the bottom, you can easily print a report. So this is a quick and easy way to get a batch report if you want to see all of the donations that are making up a particular batch. Highlight the batch that you're wanting the report on and come down here and click that print batch button. Then it's going to open up your batch report options. This screen is really nice because it allows you to go in and filter things a little bit more. So you can actually change, for example, what payment method you see. If you just want to see your EFTs, you could uncheck everything and just check EFT. If you want to see just your cash and your checks, you could do that as well. Lots of different options. You can click on just a certain account. You could do things a certain user entered. You could show things that have been reversed if you've made any corrections. So among these tabs at the top, you can really go in and customize how this batch report is going to print. Now let's go ahead. You don't have to change anything here. So if I leave everything as is and I come down to the bottom and hit print, I'm then going to see a nice batch report of what was entered. You can of course customize this using those tabs, but this is just going to give me a basic report sorted by giver number of the individual, the account they gave to, a transaction number, how much, those type of things. So this is a great report to pull for a specific batch. All right, now let's talk about making corrections. So like I mentioned before, this is the screen you would go to if you need to change something to the batch as a whole, okay? Say the batch code was entered wrong or the date was entered wrong, you could do a correction. So down here at the bottom left, you would do the correct batch button. Say you needed to make a reversal. Say you just need to get the batch out totally for whatever reason, it doesn't need to be there. Then you have your reverse option. Okay, so let's walk through those two scenarios. Let's go ahead and reverse out this batch here from 129. Let's say for whatever reason it got put in, it shouldn't have. We need to take it out of the program completely. If that's the case, you click to highlight the line that has the date on it. And then bottom left, you're going to hit this reverse button. Now keep in mind, reverse is going to remove the batch. It's going to create reversing entries to undo what you've done. There's not a way to reverse a reversal. So if you do reverse something and you realize, whoops, I didn't want to do that, you would actually need to re-enter it. All right, so after you hit the reverse button, it's going to come up with the reverse donation screen, and here you have several options. We here at Church Windows usually recommend reversing something for the date occurred of the original transaction. So if the donation date was 129, we recommend reversing it for 129 as well. Now, you might have some more advanced scenarios, where you have an advanced options tab, where you could actually go in and pick today's date to do your reversal, or you could pick some other date. So you have two options to do that. Now, if you use your church windows and your accounting modules together, it's important that you pick the correct date for when you want the reversal to take place. Because if you do a reversal for, say, a future date or a different date and then transfer that over to accounting, that could definitely affect some reports. Okay? Now keep in mind as well too, this is something back from January. You also have to look at the date occurred and see, is this truly something that I need to reverse because it was almost 7 months ago? Okay, but so just keep that in mind. That's with any corrections or reversals that you do. You need to make sure you know what date you're going to use and why. Okay. You also have a place down here to put in some comments. It's not required, but you can definitely put in some donation comments as to why you are making this change or why you're doing this reversal. That way, if you get questioned about it by a committee, someone later, you have that information. You don't have to try to rack your brain to figure out why you took it out. Then, once you've done that, you can come down to the bottom, hit your OK and Transfer button, and that will reverse the batch, the entire thing, and then it will take you to the Transfer to Accounting screen if you use accounting, where you can then post the reversal in the accounting module if that's something you want to do. Or you can just hit the OK button, which is just going to reverse it here out of the donations module. So I'm going to go ahead and just say OK. And it's going to ask me, am I sure that I need to permanently reverse donation for, and it's going to list the date. I'm going to say yes. And it's going to tell me it's been reversed, and it's going to list my reversing transactions. And we'll say OK. So now on my posted batches screen, I no longer have that date listed. Now, if you ever want to go up and see what you've reversed, you do have that option up here at the top. It's called Show Reversed. It's a little checkbox. By simply checking that box, it will show you your reversals in red, and you can see what was done. But by default, you probably can just leave that unchecked. It makes the screen a little neater. Okay? So that's how you do a reversal. Now, let's say you posted a batch and you accidentally typed in the wrong date. It happens. Everybody's done it. You just fat finger something and get the wrong year, the wrong month, the wrong day, what have you. It happens. So that is done by the Correct Batch button. So you simply click to highlight the batch that needs changed. Bottom left, hit your Correct Batch button. And it's going to open up a very basic screen. There's two things you can adjust in Correct Batch. You can change the date. So say this should actually be for the 21st. Simply click on the box, type in the new date that you need. Or let's say you put in the wrong batch code. If you use batch codes, not everybody does, but this is where you would go in and select the correct batch code that you need. Right? Same thing, you have the OK and an OK and Transfer. By hitting OK, it's just going to make the change here on the donation side. If this date is something you need to update over in accounting, say you transferred it over for the 22nd, but it really needs to be for the 21st, and you need to see that reflection in accounting, you can do the OK and Transfer screen, and that will take you to the Transfer screen where you can post the correction to accounting. I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. And it's going to tell me this correction requires that the batch be reversed and re-entered, which the program is taking care of. And then here are your transaction numbers. Say OK. And now when we look at our screen, the batch has been corrected from the 22nd to the 21st. Okay. Pretty straightforward stuff. You also have a group by date posted button up here on the left you might not be aware of. This is nice because it actually shows you the day you were sitting at the computer entering this batch, or the day you posted this batch. So even though the date occurred, is 1/1/2017. Someone actually sat at the computer October 24th and entered it. Okay, so this can be a handy feature, especially if you post something accidentally for the wrong day and you need to go fix it. You can use that group by date posted option. So if we look down here, the 1/21 has a 6/22 date, which is today because we did a correction to the batch. All right, you also have a refresh button. So if you make a change and you see that it hasn't updated properly here in posted batches, you can easily click that refresh batch and that'll force the update. And the last button on the screen I want to show you is down here at the bottom. This is a Reactivate Batch for Transfer button. This is used mostly for when you're sending something over to accounting. So say you make a change here and for whatever reason that isn't showing to be transferred over to accounting. You can click this Reactivate Batch for Transfer button and that will then force or update this batch to then be displayed to be transferred over to accounting. Now if you don't use accounting, that's not a button you're going to need to use, but it is nice if you ever are in a situation where you know you made a change, you need to see it reflect in accounting. It's not waiting to be transferred on that transfer donation screen. Highlight the batch and hit the Reactivate Batch for Transfer button and it'll force that to show up there for you. All right, well, that really concludes my outline for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to type those in over in the questions section and we can get those answered for you. It's pretty basic stuff. It's not anything too complicated. You might not have any questions. If that's the case, feel free to leave the webinar. That's totally fine. But if you do have a question about something in here that I've covered or that you're curious about that I didn't cover, please type it in. We'll be happy to get it answered for you. Laura's asking, I was hoping this webinar was going to go over changing a donation in an individual batch that was posted. Laura, if you're asking about like an actual transaction, like if, for example, let's go here, you needed to make a change to Miss Lucy's donation, that's not done in the posted batches screen. That's actually done over here in Browse. Let me show you that real quick. So if you go into Browse, this is the Browse screen, you can use the correct and reverse buttons here by highlighting the specific transaction. Okay, this is done in Browse. This is not something you would do in posted batches. I'm sorry if that wasn't straightforward in the webinar outline when you signed up. But posted batches is for making changes to the batch as a whole. Okay, it's not going to be individual transactions. That's going to be done here in the Browse screen by finding the actual transaction that needs corrected. Like here's Miss Lucy's $10 gift, and then hitting the correct button, making the change, or the reversing button if you need to take it out completely. Oops, let me scroll back up. Let's see. Is there a way to print a group of posted dates? If you're wanting to print a group of posted dates, I would probably recommend, John, going up into reports. You're not going to get that in posted batches, but under donations report, you could do a giving summary or a log report, and that would be a great way to pull multiple posting dates because you can put in whatever date occurred you want. Sandra's asking, if you have something in a Sunday offering that is not a member's contribution, is it best to enter this through donations or through enter income in accounting? Doesn't matter which way it's done. Sandra, yes, it does matter. So donations, you only want to put things through that are actually a gift or a true donation to the church. If it's some other type of income, say a rental income, you have someone that rents out your narthex or your gymnasium, if that's the case, that wouldn't be considered a donation because they're getting something, they're purchasing something. So if that's the case, then you'd want to enter that through enter income. Now, if it is a true donation, but it's not from like a specific person, say it's like the loose cash and change in the bottom of your offering baskets, if that's the case, you would then want to set up a giver and call them like loose plate giver. And then that would be the person you would choose when you enter the donation to account for that. Marla's asking, can you give an example of when you would need to reactivate a batch? I see Kellyanne answered your question. I'm going to read it out loud. It would be, say, if someone went into accounting and deleted a transaction or deleted the entire donations out of that day for some reason, you need to get that batch back over to accounting. By going into accounting, highlighting that batch, hitting reactivate, that'll put it back in the transfer screen to go over to accounting. Juliana, I'm reading your question here. If I make a change to an individual record and donation, will the correction show up in the membership module? I think you're going to have to call on that one. In donations, you're not going to be able to really make changes to someone from membership. You'd have to do that in membership, but that's off the posted batches topic, so I'm not going to go into that. But if I didn't answer your question clearly enough, you want to talk about it more, call us. Please call the support line or email us at support@churchwindows.com. We'll get you an answer that way. All right, any other questions? If not, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar here. Yeah, Sandra, please call us on that as well. If you're entering it through accounting, it's not going to be combined with your donations. It's going to have two different type of transactions. But give us a call and maybe we can talk to you about some more options. All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar. I hope you learned something new. I hope you learned something that will help make your day a little bit easier. If you come up with any more questions about posted batches or anything regarding Church Windows, please call us at our 1-800 number, or you can send us an email to support@churchwindows.com, and we can get you an answer that way. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.